Unit 1A1 by Will Carter and Ross Clough. The cardiovascular system. There's different types of blood vessels in the cardiovascular system are the arteries, the arteriole, capillary, a vein, and venules, which are small veins. According to Dr. H. Knipe and Dr. D'Souza et al. 2005, our arteries carry blood away from the heart. The type of blood it carries is oxygenated blood. The artery also has thick walls made up of muscle, elastic and high pressure vessels. They are classified into three types according to their size. Large arteries, medium or muscular arteries, and small arteries, which are otherwise known as arterioles, which are less than 0.5mm in diameter. A characteristic feature of arteries, no matter what size they are, is a well-defined lumen maintained by the muscularity of the vessel wall. The walls of arteries are thicker than those of veins to withstand pulsatile flow and higher blood pressures. As arteries become smaller, wall thickness decreases, but the ratio of wall thickness to lumen diameter actually increases. This is according to Dr. H. Knipe and D'Souza et al. 2005. And again, according to Dr. H. Knipe and D'Souza et al. 2005, there are examples and these are the examples and functions of each artery. Large arteries. Examples of large arteries are the aorta, which has large aortic branches and pulmonary arteries, and the media is abundant in elastic fibres that allow it to expand with systole and recoil during diastole. Medium-sized or muscular arteries. Example of these are other aortic branches, for example coronary and renal arteries, and the media is abundant in smooth muscle cells. In this one they vasoconstrict, which increases the blood pressure, and they also vasodilate, which widens the blood vessels, thereby controlling lumen diameter and regional blood flow to the heart. Arterioles, otherwise known as small arteries. In this one, the media is abundant in smooth cells that vasoconstrict and vasodilate. In vessels of this size, smooth muscle contraction causes changes in lumen diameter, thereby controlling systematic blood pressure as well as regional blood flow in this one. The capillaries. According to the web teachpe.com, capillaries are the smallest of all blood vessels and form the connection between veins and arteries. As arteries branch and divide into arterioles and continue to reduce in size as they reach the muscle, they become capillaries. The capillaries form a capillary bed, which is in a vast expanse of very small vessels forming a network throughout the muscle. However, unlike veins and arteries, their main function is not transporting blood. They are specially designed to allow the movement of substances. These are mainly gases and oxygen, carbon dioxide in and out of a capillary. The capillary has a thin wall which is 1 cell thick and a semi-permeable membrane. Veins. Veins in your cardiovascular system carry blood from the tissues to the heart. The valves prevent the backflow of blood, and it has a wide lumen so blood can get and pass through easier. Veins are normally found near large muscle groups. According to the following website, there are 3 types of veins. Larger veins such as the vena cava, the portal vein, medium veins and small veins. The heart. According to G. Peddle 2015, the heart is a powerful and a large organ responsible for circulation of blood and delivery of oxygen and important nutrients throughout your body. It consists of 4 chambers: right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium and left ventricle. The right-sided chambers provide blood flow to the lungs, which the left-sided chambers supply the remainder of the body. The right and left atria serve as pooling chambers for blood returning from the body or lungs respectively. The right and left ventricles are responsible for pumping blood into the pulmonary artery and aorta respectively. Specialised atrioventricular valves separate the arteria from the ventricles and prevent backwards flow of blood during cardiac pumping. Semilunar valves separate the ventricles from the great arteries, preventing backwards flow during cardiac filling. Heart disease. No, sorry. Next slide. Circulation. Blood low in oxygen content, which is otherwise known as deoxygenated blood, drains from the body into the right side of the heart and then is pumped into the lungs. This passes through the lungs, which increases the blood's oxygen concentration. This is now oxygenated blood, which drains into the left side of the heart and is pumped to the rest of the body by the left ventricle. Then, after oxygen and other nutrients have been delivered to the organs of the body, the blood, which is now low in oxygen content again, returns to the heart and the cycle begins again. This is all according to GPEDAL 2015. The cardiac cycle. There are three main stages of a cardiac cycle, which all include diastole, which is relaxation of the chambers, and systole, which is contraction of the chambers, in order to create the dub sound which we need. According to the following website, 2015, the three stages happen like this. Stage 1 is ventricular diastole and atrial systole. Both ventricles relax simultaneously. This results in lower pressure in each ventricle compared to each atrium above. The atrioventricular valves open partially. This is followed by the atria contracting, which forces the blood through the atrioventricular valves. It also closes the valves in the vena cava and pulmonary vein. This also prevents a backflow of blood. Stage 2 is ventricular systole and atrial diastole. Both atria then relax. Both ventricles contract simultaneously. This results in higher pressure in the ventricles compared to the atria above. The difference in pressure closes each atrioventricular valve. This prevents backflow of blood into each atrium. Higher pressure in the ventricles compared to the aorta and pulmonary artery opens the semilunar valves and blood is ejected into these arteries. So the blood flows through the systematic circular system via the aorta and the vena cava and through the lungs via the pulmonary vessels. The final stage, stage 3, is ventricular diastole and atrial diastole. Following ventricular systole, both ventricles and atria relax for a short time. High pressure in the aorta and pulmonary artery than in the ventricles closes the semilunar valves. This prevents the backflow of blood. High pressure in the vena cava and pulmonary vein than in the atria results in the refilling of the atria. Cardiac output. According to the following website, 2015, the amount of blood the heart pumps through the circulatory system in a minute is otherwise known as cardiac output. The amount of blood put out by the left ventricle of a heart in one contraction is called the stroke volume. The stroke volume and the heart rate determine the cardiac output. A normal adult has a cardiac output of 4.7 litres of blood per minute. Also, according to the same website, stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped by the left ventricle of a heart in one contraction. The stroke volume is not all the blood contained in the left ventricle. Normally only about 2/3 of the blood in the ventricle is expelled with each beat. Together with the heart rate, the stroke volume determines the output of blood by the heart per minute. Cardiac output. Stroke volume will increase during any kind of physical activity, and you'll have more stroke volume the fitter you are. You tend to find this more in professional athletes. Peripheral resistance. According to Tiongst 2010, peripheral resistance refers to the resistance of blood vessels to the flow of a blood. Further research suggests, according to San Diego University 2010, when you are resting, little blood is delivered to the non-working muscles because of atrial constriction. However, when muscles become active during exercise, more blood is able to pass due to the atrials dilating. This opening and closing the peripheral resistance changes slightly depending on what type of intensity exercise you're doing. The next point is performing rhythmic aerobic exercise such as running decreases peripheral resistance. This is also according to San Diego State University 2010. This happens because the arterioles serving the muscle at work dilate to increase blood flow over muscles. According to the University of Washington, blood flow can increase up to 20 times as the muscle exercises. Another point is performing slower anaerobic exercises like weightlifting to increase peripheral resistance. Yet again, according to San Diego University 2010, when your muscles contract, they slow or stop blood flow through the tissues until they are relaxed again. Therefore, during the contraction, when you're weightlifting, in this period, which is much more pronounced in aerobic exercise, the peripheral resistance then increases. The blood composition. According to the web thp.com 2015, blood has many functions. These include transportation. The blood carries other substances around the body, inside arteries, veins and capillaries. These include gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide, waste products such as water, hormones, enzymes and nutrients such as glucose, amino acids, vitamins and minerals. The blood flows through the circulatory system. Maintaining homeostasis. Alerting the blood flow to the skin can help to reduce body temperature. Transportation of enzymes which are used to maintain our internal environments maintains homeostasis. The immunity and defence. White blood cells fight infection and the platelets help repair damage and clot the blood. According to the web, the following website, once the respiratory gases have diffused into the lungs, resulting in the blood becoming oxygen rich, then the carbon dioxide is being exhaled. The next stage of transporting the oxygen rich blood to the tissues that it needs to take place. At the same time, the next batch of oxygen rich blood must be brought to the lungs for the process to take place again. The transportation of gases throughout the body takes place in the bloodstream through the action of the cardiovascular system, which is your heart and your blood vessels, as can be seen in the image which I have put on, no, I may not have put on the slide. The oxygenated blood leaving the lungs flows back to the heart via the pulmonary veins and then is pumped to the rest of the body from the left ventricle, from the aorta and its branches. I need to put back. The amount of hemoglobin in the blood determines its oxygen carrying capacity. According to the web medicinenet.com, hemoglobin is a protein molecule in red blood cells that carries oxygen from the lungs to the body tissues and returns carbon dioxide from the tissues back to the lungs. Hemoglobin is made up of 4 protein molecules. These are all connected together. Increasing carbon dioxide or temperature will also decrease the ability of oxygen to bind to the hemoglobin. This in turn leads to a decrease in performance, as less oxygen means less production of energy through the aerobic metabolism. As your oxygen-rich blood reaches the capillaries, gaseous exchange occurs. Oxygen is delivered to the tissues and deoxygenated blood, which is loaded with carbon dioxide, leaves the tissues of the body. This then flows back to the heart, where it is pumped into the lungs from the pulmonary arteries. Once carbon dioxide is transported into the lungs, it diffuses out of the capillaries into the alveoli and exhaled out of the lungs. According to the following website, oxygen affinity. Oxygen affinity is a red cell characteristic determined by both hemoglobin, and a systolic composition is measured with Hemox analyzer. The P50 is a conventional measure of the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. The oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve relates oxygen saturation and partial pressure of the oxygen in the blood. The PO2 at which the hemoglobin is 50% saturated, typically about 26 to 28 millimeters of hemoglobin for a healthy person, is known as a P50. In the presence of disease or other conditions that change the hemoglobin's oxygen affinity and consequently shift the curve to the right or the left, the P50 then changes according to what happens. An increased P50 indicates a rightward shift of the curve, which means a larger partial pressure is necessary to maintain a 50% oxygen saturation. This indicates a decreased affinity. Conversely, a lower P50 indicates a leftward shift and a higher affinity. Now we're going to talk about the respiratory system. The respiratory system is a complex biological system comprised of several organs that facilitate the inhalation and exhalation of oxygen and carbon dioxide in living organisms. For all air-breathing vertebrates, respiratory is handled by the lungs, but these are far from the only components of the respiratory system. In fact, the system is composed of the following biological structures: nose and nasal cavity, mouth, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs, and the muscles of respiration. A properly functioning respiratory system is a vital part for our good health. Respiratory infections can be acute and sometimes life-threatening. They can also be chronic, in which case they place tremendous long-term stress on the immune system. This is all according to the following website, 2014. A healthy lung have sections of lung tissue. Healthy lungs have sections of lung tissue, and they have the appearance of a fine lace because most of the lung is composed of thin-walled alveoli. The alveoli are all composed of a single layer of squamous epithelium. Between the alveoli you may see a thin layer of connective tissue and numerous capillaries also lined with simple squamous epithelium. This side also contains sections across many bronchioles of various size. Bronchioles can be recognised by the fact they are lined by ciliated columnar epithelium or by cobodial epithelium. Remember that the bronchioles are tubes and may be sectioned either transversely or longitudinally. What will you see in these cases? You may also see sections across small arterioles and venules, according to the following website.